Hi, I'm Abby Auch, and this is my reflection vlog for my persuasive speech. My speech was over the effects of smoking and drinking while pregnant on your baby, and the purpose of my speech was just to inform people what exactly can go wrong if you smoke or drink while you're pregnant, and most importantly, to convince them that it's a bad idea so they don't do it. I felt really good going into it, mostly because I did a lot of research, and so I knew what I was talking about and I had previous knowledge over the topic, and so I felt confident in what I was saying. And I think that's a big reason why I felt like my speaker ethos was very high, because I feel like since I did so much research and I worked so hard on my speech that I made sure there was nothing that the audience wouldn't believe, so it made me trustworthy and it made them have confidence in me. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Um, all my tech all my technology worked fine, and so I didn't have any problems with that. And yeah, I couldn't really improve anything because everything went good. The whole speech pretty much felt natural to me, except for the transitions. I don't know why, but I kept stumbling over them, and I just kept forgetting them in general. I don't know. It was awkward to say them for me, I guess. I considered my audience a lot when I was giving this speech because it is kind of a sensitive topic, and so I didn't want to make it feel like I was yelling at them. And there was also once again, there was like medical and stuff to do with your organs and stuff like that, and so I tried to put it in a way that they could understand, and I tried to make it so they understood what I was talking about, and so they weren't just sitting back like, what does that mean? What else? The strongest part of my argument, I think, was my personal story, because everything else in my speech were just facts, and after a while, facts just get boring and you kind of stop listening to them. But a personal story about something that actually happened to someone, you can connect with and you can feel their pain and you can understand what they're going through. And so I feel like those always make people think twice before they do something, and they remember it. They, like, if they're thinking about smoking or drinking while they're pregnant, they'll remember back to that story and they'll think about that mom that had to deal with the consequences of her choice, and they'll second guess whether or not they should do it. I think I had strong logos because I made my speech very understandable and logical, and so the audience, once again, understood everything that I was saying. And every point I made it logical, and so that it made sense in their mind too, and so they weren't questioning it. And all my research was sound research, so they couldn't poke holes in my logic. Um, I think that overall my speech went very well, but when I was reading the chapters in the book, I saw on page 136 they were talking about certain things like vocal pauses and facial expressions, and that's one thing I definitely struggle with. Like, they talked about vocal pauses is when you kind of run out of things to say, or you feel like you should be saying something. So you say things like and that's I find myself doing that a lot. And so that's something I could definitely improve on. And they also talk about facial expressions, like you should make your face match what you're talking about. And this one thing I definitely noticed while I was trying to give my speech is that when I get nervous, I tend to laugh and smile a lot. And since my speech was about things that could go wrong with your child and talking about different like FAS and all those things, I shouldn't have been smiling, but I caught myself doing it a couple times just because that's what I do when I get nervous, I guess. Um, and on page 135, they talked about how we use physical and verbal ways of giving our speech, and I like that, and I think that definitely showed, such as the how we accented our speech by holding up the 2 when it was our second point and the 3 for our third point, just to make sure that the audience understood that these were the points we were trying to make. And I think that's it for me. I hope you got to listen to my speech, and I hope you really liked it. Thank you.